I'm online looking up a few things, something that I've been talking about. Let's see. So give me a second. I'm going to go to my desktop as well and bring up the live stream so that it'll be easier to read if there's any comments, if anyone shows up. They say that every time, almost every time. Laradox is here. Mary Lou's TV is here. Oh, my friends. Yeah, almost every time I say if anyone shows up. Usually someone shows up, but it's never guaranteed. And I think that's why I say it, is the fact that nothing's guaranteed on YouTube. That maybe you'll get some subscribers, maybe you won't. Maybe people will show up for your live stream, maybe they won't. There's absolutely no guarantees. Barb is here. Good day, hugs and blessings to one and all. Hugs and blessings to you, Barb. How are you feeling today? I hope better. Flower says hi to Miss Barb. William's here. William says hi to Yogi. How's everyone? So I think, yeah, my way of saying if anyone shows up is simply saying that I don't take any of this for granted, that if even one person shows up and they want to have a conversation with me, I'm very, very fortunate indeed. So just give me 1 second, guys. Seeing if anyone else is live. Flower, how are you? Laradox, how are you? And William, how are you? Optima, nice to see you. Laradox says, my stomach is in pain, keeps throwing up. Have you been to a doctor yet? That's not good. William Downey is here. What's new, William? William says, hope everyone is doing good. Thank you. So far today, pretty good. Optimob is saying hi to everyone. Nodak says, Yogi, can I share the morning Bible verse on my app? Sure. Nodak says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Nice. William says, not a yogi. I just ate at the hospital. Can't eat 9 to 10 eggs here. There are only 2. Man, 2. That's hardly a drop in the bucket. That's hardly a drop in the endless egg-consuming bucket that is William Downey. Laradox says it's the verse of the day. It's a nice verse. I was actually reading Genesis 2:21-23 just before it came live. I still have it up. That particularly 21. That's the one that interests me. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. Here's the interesting thing, though. In the entirety of the Bible and the rest of the New Testament, it never ever said that Adam woke up. Imagine that. So if we took this cosmology wise, if we took this illusory wise, or even several modern philosophers as well as physicists say that we're living in a simulation from a higher intelligence, but maybe not a higher intelligence, maybe our own intelligence, maybe the intelligence of God itself, that we are simply Adam being the alpha and the omega, that Adam is just a metaphor for ultimate beingness that is still asleep and has not woken up yet. So we are literally dreaming the world into existence within the mind of Adam, who is God's creation. Wolf is here. Mary Lou's TV is here. Mary Lou, how are you? Wolf, how are you? Laradox says, Yogi, do you believe I will stay in your streams till the end? Because I will, I promise. Well, not something that needs to be believed or non-believed. I always believe your good intentions. However, you're young, it's summertime, you're learning how to drive. Man, you got a full and active life. Come here, say hi, spend some time, go outside, take a drive with your aunt because you only have your learner's permit. Play some basketball, enjoy the summer, go swimming. Come back the next live stream. I'll always be here, Laradox. William says 2 eggs for 4 o'clock. I said I can buy a whole dozen. Oh, for $4. I can buy a whole dozen for that. She said not here. She has an excellent point. Not here. You can't argue with that logic, William. Man, that would cost a fortune to eat your normal amount of eggs. You would have to get a second mortgage on your home in order to eat eggs at the hospital. Laradox says, I'll never stop coming into your streams. I appreciate that, my friend. I've heard similar from Flower, and she keeps showing up all the time. We can't shake her. Even though she wants to slap a slice of cheese across my bald head, her own words. I can guarantee there's no one here on this live stream that has ever been threatened by an 11-year-old girl in Myanmar to slap a slice of cheese on their bald head. You're only going to get this in this live stream, guys. Wolf says, trying to figure out what is for lunch. What are the options? Fortunately, you're not, or fortunately, you're at home and you're not at the hospital with William Downey and being forced to eat 2 eggs for $4. William says hello to Moonwolf. Optimum says hi, Laradox. Please make a playlist on your videos so you're able to watch all your videos in a row. It's good for your watch time. Reading Steamo. Excellent advice. I gave that advice to our friend Jace, and I've had him up all day. As a matter of fact, I am on video 13 for the day of Jace. 13 of 17 videos. So working my way through, and then I'll start his next one. Guys, if you want watch hours, let people know. Don't just shoot for subscribers. Subscribers are awesome. It's a great metrics, but watch hours are hard to come by. So unless you're putting in some crazy live streams with tons of people watching, or your videos are getting lots of hits, mine aren't. But the live streams seem to do okay. But hey, I'm happy to help out. I'll watch anyone's. You come here, you participate, even if you don't participate. If you come here and you ask, I will put in some time watching your playlist. Paradox very, very nicely and wisely says, Yogi, as a person, I love Joe Biden as much as Trump because politics should not get in the way of love. Absolutely. Absolutely. Paradox already has a playlist. Great. Mabinti says, y'all, the new Deadpool movie, even that good? Well, that's a shame. Man, you would expect if it's going to have Hugh, what's his name? Wolverine. I can't think of his last name. I almost said, is it Hugh Grant? No. Is it Hugh Hefner? No. It's Hugh someone, right? Paradox says, the sage never strives for greatness and can therefore accomplish greatness. Paradox, have you been reading the Tao Te Ching, my friend? Wolf says, $4 should buy a lot more than 2 eggs for sure. Or they better be the best darn eggs I've ever eaten in my entire life. Especially as a vegan, if I'm going to break my veganness to eat 2 eggs for $4, they better be the best eggs in the entire universe. They better come out of the butt of the original chicken, the primordial chicken, the chicken that gave birth to every egg in existence. Once again, the primordial egg from the original chicken butt is the only stuff that you're going to hear on just a Yogi doing burpees in his basement. Optimop says, Laradox, there's no playlist on your channel. Did I drop his link? We can check out. Where is Laradox is at 566 subscribers. Absolutely awesome. Optimop says he's trying to help a bit. So anyway, yeah, that's a shame. You got Deadpool and Wolverine together, and the movie's not very good. Zeradox says he'll make one later. Sub to Mabinti. Thank you for that. Mabinti is a good person. Mabinti says, thanks, Zeradox. Let me sub to you. Make sure when you sub to someone that you leave a comment on one of the videos, so that way, for sure, they can get back to you. Plus, it really helps. Jackman, thank you for that. Man, for the life of me, I couldn't think of who it was. Optimob says, Mabinti, welcome. Already sub to you. Nice. Mabinti says, the eggs would need to be deep yellow orange for none of that pale yellow stuff. For me, they need to be vegan eggs. I guess I'd pay $4 for 2 vegan eggs if I needed an egg. Hey, that's a good question. How big were the eggs? Optimob says, are those eggs from an ostrich bird? How big were the eggs? William Downey might have, because he's a bit of an egg snob. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in the best possible way. If you're going to be a snob of something, be an egg snob. They might have been 2 huge eggs. They could have been an ostrich egg. Let's see what our friend William Downey has to say about that. William Downey is back to work today. He had, how many days did you have off? Lordox says, well, I've always read that my whole life because of the wise messages it brings, but I'm a Christian, so I mix in Bible verses. I am much the same. You take wisdom where you find it. The Tao in no way contradicts the teachings of Jesus. If anything, it helps reinforce it. Eric Lapointe is here. But Taoism is wise. It certainly is. I have talked to many long-time Buddhist practitioners, and they tell me that they have become better Christians through the practice of Buddhism. The same with yoga. I've talked to people of the Jewish faith, um, and they said they've become better Jews through the practice of yoga or the practice of Buddhism. As a matter of fact, Western Buddhism um, is filled with Jewish people. What's new, Eric Lapointe? Hey, Eric Lapointe, would you spend $4 to eat 2 eggs? Let's see. My Binti says maybe it's not because I'm a Marvel nerd that I didn't like it. That could be. Our friend Walking with Goldie is a bit of a Marvel nerd as well. So you got high standards. Or are they saying you're not a Marvel nerd? Because I watched some of the movies casually. Optimob is saying hi to Eric Lapointe. And Larodax says, love the whole world as if it were yourself. Then you will truly care for all things. Absolutely. Mabinti says, I was going to binge all the Marvels like 4 years ago, but I gave up. Yeah, I doubt I could make it through all of them. Some I like a whole lot. I'll tell you what, and outside of movies, I'm a DC fan. I'd much rather talk about Batman. However, I do like a lot of Marvel stuff. I like Daredevil. I like the Hulk. Spider-Man, of course. Paradox says I would leave a comment, but he doesn't have any content. Paradox is not a Marvel fan, just Spider-Man. I am a Spider-Man fan. I'm not anti-Marvel. I like some of them. And some of the movies were really good. Mabinti says, Paradox, yeah, just lurk. You do more than lurk, my friend. You come here and you participate. And I really appreciate that. Absolutely love when you come and visit. Our friend Matthew is here. Matthew, how are you? Matthew says, hello, Eric. And Mary, meet my friends. Sorry, guys, I fell behind. Paradox wants to know if Maminti is religious. Maminti says, I started watching Deadpool because he's fine. I don't even like Ryan Reynolds, but the suit does something. The first and second movies were good. They were funny. You know what? I don't know if I saw the second. The first one was funny. Worm says, grade A jumbo, 3 days off. Now we get all the answers. So, grade A jumbo, that's a good size egg. I get the feeling, though, that at home, William Downey gets his eggs from a specialized hybrid chicken ostrich type of deal that he has in his backyard. Something that he concocted together through maybe like the police lab in cahoots with maybe a Forsonics expert. This way, he's for sure to get the best eggs possible, the largest eggs possible. As I mentioned, he's a bit of an egg snob, as he should be again. Optimop says workmate had a 4-week holiday. When he came back to the company, I gave him a nameplate with visitor as a joke. How did he take that? That's a long vacation. Yardak says, yes, I believe a bit of Taoism is great, but I still like, but I'm still a Christian, and I believe stuff as Jesus dying on the cross for our sins. No hate towards you, Yogi. No hate taken at all. I've never had a really good, and this is from priest. Remember, I went to a Catholic school. As a young man, as a young boy, I debated with some of the best. And of course, I always got punished because I wasn't supposed to debate with anyone. I never got a good explanation for what my sin was supposed to be. Wolf says, there's usually something good in most ideologies. Eric Point says, probably not Yogi, but never say never. Mabinti says, I'm not a Marvel nerd because I have barely seen any and don't understand the timeline and stuff. I only know the main superheroes. Well, that's understandable. Optimov says, I know like a superhero to Peter Sellers, the actor as Inspector Clouseau. I love those old movies. Man, I grew up watching Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau. His fights with Kato. Was it Kato? Who was his homekeeper? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't think it was Bruce Lee, was it? William says, duty calls, gotta run. Be careful, William. Optima says, well, that's Leslie Nielsen as Frank Drebin, special agent. Funny stuff, for sure. The Pink Panther, definitely. I think I might have saw the very last one in the movie theaters, but we used to watch them at home. My parents loved them whenever they came on TV. Peter Sellers, definitely a genius. Not just he was a physical genius, but all across, he was just a comic genius. Do you know the French actor Louis de Funès? I do not. Wolf says he doesn't either. Let's see. Matthew says, I know this is a controversial statement, but I see the Christ as more of a archetype for self-mastery than a figure of worship. I'm in agreement with you. Of course, we have to remember that Christ has been taken out of context, that Christ is a title. It's a state of consciousness. It's not an actual person. So when they say Jesus the Christ, they're saying that Jesus has attained the consciousness as Son of God. And this is why Jesus said, all that I have done, you can do as well as saying the kingdom of heaven is within, pointing directly towards consciousness itself. So we're given really explicit directions on what we're to do. We are to love God, which is reality, and we are to love others as we love ourselves. When he was asked, what are the greatest of commandments? Those two. Love others as ourselves. And yet, we don't do that. Any of us. So I am largely in agreement with you, Matthew. Brian says, what's up? Eric, hello chat. Brian, how are you? Optimop says, right, Kato, his butler. Yes, his butler. Mabinti says, Eric, what are you going to be for Halloween? I am going to be a yogi for Halloween. The question would be better asked Milka, what is she going to be for Halloween? Because she loves Halloween. And she dresses up every year. Her and Anika. Anika is my stepchild, by the way. Yes, Bruce Lee, I believe. I know Bruce Lee was Kato in the Green Hornet on TV, but I'm not sure if he was with Inspector Clouseau. I'll have to look that up. William Hart says, good afternoon, Yogi. How are you? Good, William. How are you? How was your the continuation of your morning? I got to see William at 5 a.m. I got to see Eric Lapointe at 5 a.m. Now, Binti, what about you? What are you going to be for Halloween? Of course, we got plenty of time to think about it. Matthew says, I believe that Christ was indeed a man that attained the highest level of awareness, well, incarnated in flesh, and his ministry was to teach us the steps to spiritual liberation. I agree with all that except for Christ, that Christ was, because, again, Christ is the translation from Christos in Greek, which was the original translation from Aramaic, the language of Jesus. So technically, Jesus the Christ. So I'm quibbling, and that's not right. That's not right for me to quibble. I agree. My way of saying it would have been slightly different, that I believe Jesus was indeed a man, as Christ is a state of consciousness. But again, it's drawing that fine line, which is barely even worth it, and I don't even know why I did it. I apologize. Brian says, I also love the Buddhist teaching, the Buddha teachings. I do as well, Brian. I have, I've taken a few deep dives into Buddhism. I love the Buddhist psychology as well as yoga psychology. They're very, very closely related. The Buddha himself was a yogi who, frustrated that he wasn't getting the realization that he wanted through his aesthetic yoga practices, decided he would sit under the Buddha tree until he was awakened, until he was enlightened. And Maya, the archetypical demon of temptation, threw all kinds of stuff at him, all kinds of promises, if he gave up his quest. And the Buddha remained steadfast. I think it was after 3 days, he awoke under the Buddha tree, and he said, I am awakened. And he touched the earth to bear witness. And what he awakened to was the Four Noble Truth, that life is suffering, which is sort of mistranslated from Pali, the original language of Buddha. What he said was life is dukkha, and dukkha has been mistranslated into suffering. It really means transitory, intangible, and that we suffer because we seek to cling to the intangibles and the transitory. But then he teaches us how to escape that suffering, which is the same path as yoga, differently expressed. For me, the one thing that made ultimate sense was A Course in Miracles, which I talk about frequently. Always happy to talk more about. I refrain from it a little bit. But if anyone has any questions about A Course in Miracles. So, how far behind did I get in that last spiel? I see our friend Destiny is here. Good afternoon, Destiny, my friend. How are you? Destiny put out a wonderful video today on emotional health, physical health. Man, she was speaking from my heart when she mentioned books and being in service to others. It was a beautiful message. All right, I'm going to do my best to catch up here. Brian says he's doing great. Awesome. Mabinti says, would you say if someone hates themselves, they cannot truly love people? I would say that, because you're a people. However, I'm going to refer back to A Course in Miracles here, that the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is fear. Although, rightly speaking, love itself can have no opposite. Team up, my friend. Thank you very much for that. Deeply, deeply appreciated. That was such a kind and loving gesture, and one that is not surprising from such a kind and loving person. You know how you can tell Timo was such a good person? One, how much he loves Sabine, how perfect they are together. 2, how much he loves Bax. A man who loves his dog is indeed a saintly man, in my opinion. But 3, and most importantly, how much Bax loves Timo. If a dog trusts you, then my friend, you got my trust as well. Wolf says, I remember seeing Star Wars in the movie theater, but after the first one, they jumped around with the timelines, lost interest. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. It's a little different. Trying to think how old I was. I think I was like 11 years old. So everyone's saying hi to Destiny. Nice to see. Brian says, yeah, you're correct to Mabinti. You can't love others without loving yourself. Wolf says hi to Brian. Destiny says hi to Brian. Brian has been putting out some excellent videos. He always does. But he's put out some excellent ones talking about his path and his channel. So I hope you guys stop by and check him out. Mabinti says also something interesting that I stumbled upon in my studies is that the Christ lived in Egypt several times in his lifetime, and is believed by some that he was inducted into the grand mysteries. I'm sorry, Matthew said that. And some believe he might have made it all the way to India, and that he was familiar with the teachings of Buddha, that he studied yoga. There's some missing years unaccounted for. For me, the history, metaphysics matter less than the message itself. What saddens me is the great teachings of Jesus, which are straight from the heart, and how they have become a social and political issue that Jesus never talked about in the Bible. His message is very clear. Read the Beatitudes, and he tells you exactly how to, he gives you a practice very similar to yoga, a practice very similar to Buddhism, in essence. Brian says hello to Mavinti. Mavinti says, Brian Lane, yeah, I was thinking, look at me getting all philosophical in here. Hey, that's the intent of the whole live stream. Get as philosophical as you want, get as weird as you want, talk about the essence of religion, talk about spirituality, talk about your practices, talk about burpees if you want to do burpees, talk about nature, talk about steps for emotional health, physical health. And while we're on that subject, again, please go check out Dr. Destiny's new video. Spend some time with her and her channel, especially if you're interested in being of service and emotional health. Honestly, if you visit Destiny and you see all the videos that she does for physical health, which are important, vital, but in my opinion, her true message is being of service and taking the steps for mental health. Because, we spend so much time focusing on the body, but we don't do much as far as addressing our emotional health. And we're in a time of crisis, emotionally speaking, spiritually speaking. Jesse says, happy Friday to William Hart. Rome says, you could technically love another and not yourself. But what kind of love is that? Well, that's the thing. There's no kinds of love. There's kinds of affection. There are kinds of deep affection. But there's only love. Only love. So love doesn't have a dividing line that I can love you but not love me. When we remove the obstacles to seeing that love rushes in. And we get this great realization that there's only love. So yeah, in love, we can't speak of technicalities. We can only speak of love, and we can only speak of the obstacles of love. That was a great message. Again, there's the Four Noble Truths. There's the eightfold path of Buddhism. There's the 8 branches of yoga. And there is the simplicity of A Course in Miracles that takes all of that and breaks it down into we have a deep fear that we are separate from ourselves and from God. We're projecting that fear out into the world, and it's blocking us from truly, truly knowing ourselves as love. And the way to escape from that illusion of those projections is forgiveness. It's such a simple message that the simplicity itself is why I fell in love with it. Jesse says hello to Optimum. Hey, I was almost caught up, right? Nope, I am not almost caught up. I'm not even close to being caught up. Let's see. Optimum says, hi to Brian. Was distracted by Bax. Hello, Destiny. Bax is an awesome distraction. Bax distracts me as well. I'll put up a Bax video and I'll get absorbed. I'm supposed to be doing some work and I find myself watching Bax. Matthew says Christo means sacred oil. And I have to agree, Eric. I have my own doubts as to whether it is simply a story meant to relate a deeper truth and not a literal historical account. In the end, it's the teachings that matter. And I think across the spectrum of all beliefs and religions and faith, everyone can agree on the deep, loving message that Jesus offers everyone. If you are a non-Christian and you just practice the teachings of Jesus, you'll have a fully loving and satisfying life. If you are a Christian and you practice the teachings of the Buddha, you will have a deeply meaningful and loving life. Same with the Tao, same with yoga. Well, it says, happy Friday, everyone, and it is getting significantly more enlightening. These are some of my favorite discussions to have. Let's see. UL, I hope I pronounced that right, my friend. If not, I apologize. Says yoga had found many paths past the path of Siddhartha, and was just another that many could do. Absolutely. Where it says, drop the sub, Destiny. Oh, I thought you probably would have been subscribed to her by now. I will follow up after stream. Hello, The Point. Babinti says hello to Destiny. And once again, now that I'm caught up, thank you again, my good friend Timo. Babinti is asking what is CHF? Currency, Swiss currency, I believe. Matthew says, to me, we should pay more attention to the actual message being related through any doctrine. Very true. And not get hung up on theological debates. I apologize, Eric. I agree that Christ is a message. No need to apologize, my friend. I absolutely agree with you. 100%. Our friend Jeremy and Cheryl's Cruise Adventures is here. Says, hey, everyone. Another great channel. I mention this all the time. If you're interested in anything about cruising, definitely subscribe. Listen to their morning show, and it really is a show. It's such a smooth channel, the way it's all set up, and you feel like you are watching one of the, I guess they still have them. It's funny. I don't watch regular TV. So I guess they still have Kathy, I guess not Kathy Lee, someone. They still have those morning talk shows. I don't watch them, but I do watch every opportunity I get. Jeremy and Cheryl's Cruise. It's a fun time, and if you're not even interested in cruise, you might find that you get to be, or you just sit back and you listen to the conversation because it's a lot of fun. Ruam says, it may not help much. If you find the live helpful or enjoyable, please leave your thumb. We appreciate any feedback. Thank you for that, William. And it definitely does help. It catches the algorithm attention. Destiny says, Maventi, hello, happy Friday. UL says, the man that stayed with his dog and didn't climb the rope to the beyond was taken to paradise. That is an interesting analogy. I don't know where that's from. Yep, Optimov says that CHF is Swiss francs. Jeremy and Cheryl says, y'all hit the like. Hey, and speaking of uh, Cheryl, check out her new video or her new channel, which is Knitting with Cheryl. I love knitting. I mentioned this before, and I mentioned this to her before. It just reminds me as a kid, with all the wise elders of my family, the women gathered around either the kitchen table, depending on what house we were, or the living room table, and knitting or doing some type of craft, sometimes crocheting, sometimes we were making quilts, just discussing everything from family issues to family gossip to politics to all the wise stuff that really helped shape me and gave me a deep, deep love for um, the women elders in my life. Roy says CHF is the Swiss currency shorthand. Jeremy says, Eric Schultz says hi. Thank you. And tell her I said hi back. Optimov says here in Switzerland is used and euro or Switzerland francs. Does that ever get confusing at all, having that many currencies? Brian says, yes, sir, Jeremy. Thanks for reminding us. Definitely, thank you. Joel Adams says, political is Caesar. And run on to Caesar. I agree to an extent. Deeply lately, I've been doing another reading into the Tao Te Ching. Um, and Lao Tzu gets fairly political and yet still remaining beyond politics itself in a way that only you can do in the Tao Te Ching, embracing the paradoxes of it all. For me, when you turn inwards, you remove the obstacles from love. When you forgive your projections, then there's no need to get political because politics itself ceases to be. Now there's understanding. Now there's cooperation. Now there's love flowing through all of us. And when love is flowing through all of us, how can we get political? How can it be a political issue to feed the hungry? And no longer is. We just feed the hungry. If you're hungry, you're fed. We house the homeless because it's not a political issue. And if someone says, well, you're supposed to pull yourself up from the bootstrap, we buy them a pair of boots with really nice bootstraps. Preferably non-leather, vegan, pointy-toed cowboy boots. Not that I have a preference or have even ever worn cowboy boots in my entire life. That maybe as a kid. Maybe as a kid I did. William says, as to not offend them, run on to Caesar. What is Caesar's? Nice, William. Brian says, when I was 4 years old, I had an imaginary friend named Ike. How long did that last? And what did Ike have to say? Did Ike ever impart any words of wisdom? I'm all for imaginary friends at every age. As I mentioned before, one of my all-time favorite movies is Harvey with Jimmy Stewart, whose best friend was a 6-foot-tall invisible rabbit, who it turned out was a puka, which is a trickster spirit found specifically in Celtic lore. Mabinti says, Optimov, thank you. Matthew says, I agree, Eric. It's the teachings that matter more than the historical accounts. I myself go back and forth between the thought um, from time to time, but indeed, Christ's doctrine appears to be very closely. So supposedly, and it doesn't matter if you believe it or not, to the teachings themselves, A Course in Miracles is the voice of Jesus um, that was presented to Helen Suchman in 1965, who was a research psychologist at Columbia University in New York City. Her and her colleague, an actual supervisor, William Thetford, were always bickering, having disagreements, as with the entire staff. And he got really fed up and said there has to be a better way. And unexpectedly, she said, there is, and I'll help you find it. And it set off a course of mystical experiences. Helen started hearing a voice, and the voice was saying it was Jesus. And she got very scared. As a psychologist, she thought she was having a breakdown, and she called up Bill Thetford and said, what should I do? And he said, listen to the voice, see what it says. And the voice said, take notes, this is A Course in Miracles, and gave explicit directions and practices over 700 and some in a textbook, 365-page workbook, and a manual for teachers on forgiveness, forgiving our illusions that block us from the realization of love. The metaphysics are fascinating, and they correspond keenly with yoga as well as Buddhism, that the world itself is an illusion. And this is why I was looking up Adam. It says in Genesis that God put Adam into a deep sleep, but nowhere in the Bible does it ever say that Adam woke up, that this is a dream in the mind of the primordial Adam, the entire universe, the entire world, and that our role isn't so much to wake up as it is to dream a happier dream. Let's see, William says, question, let me get all the way down here, as that just popped up on my phone. What's the question, my friend? Destiny says, Brian, what did you learn from Ike? I'd like to know that too, Brian. Great question, Destiny. Panama's a story. Pandava is a story. Pandava is the, it's a Hindu, or am I mistaken? Let's see. Oh, I see the question above. Eric Point says, don't mind me. I'm doing some redneck yoga, trying to fix a mower that broke today. You know, Eric, it reminds me of a line in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. His original job, Robert Persig, was a technical writer for many large companies, but he went to work into Japan as a technical writer. And he talked about the difference between technical writing in Japan versus America. In America, if you want to put together a toaster oven, or let's say a desk from IKEA, it would say, first take all the parts out of a box, arrange them in order, take part A and sort it in part B, take part B and do this and do that and do that. In Japan, it would say, before assembling your desk, you must first achieve peace of mind and proceed from there. So, in fixing the lawnmower, Eric Lapointe, you must first achieve peace of mind, which really just means take some calming breaths, realize that the solution is there, and proceed from that calm point. If that doesn't work, sometimes I think kicking it works really well. Hitting it with a hammer or a wrench. But do so with peace of mind. Fuel, air, sparkle, like all life. Interesting. Check the carb first. Well, we got some mechanical advice from you all, as well as some philosophical. Excellent. All right, William, sorry. Um, how do you deal with a desire, and how is that not relational to the pursuit of ego? It's a good question. Um, Desire in and of itself is just energy, and nothing needs to be done with it whatsoever. A desire isn't good or bad. It can be related to the ego. You can have an egoic desire, but I think you would recognize that. Are you pursuing something for the ego's sake? And you can do that through self inquiry, just asking, why do I want this? And as you boil that down, you find that very often the thing that you desire isn't a thing at all. What you're looking for is the essence. So let's say your main desire is money, and you keep looking in and looking in and looking deeper. You find it's not money itself that you're desiring. You're looking for the security that you believe money might provide. And indeed, money does provide a certain amount of security in this day and age. However, if you're just pursuing money for the sake of what you think of as power, that's directly from the ego. And as you dive deeper, you find the illusory nature of the ego itself. So you start giving up that pursuit, and your needs and your desires get simpler and simpler and simpler. Brian says, good luck with that, Eric. Matthew says, love has many forms and many expressions. Someone once told me that when we are infants and young children, we embody love more fully because the ego has not fully expressed itself in our over our true divine. Yeah, I would agree with that. When you think of when we were babies, um, the ego had not developed yet. We were just pure awareness. And we can substitute the word love for awareness, and it will mean the exact same thing because both are unconditional. However, as we grow, we are giving objects within awareness. We're given labels and concepts. We're given beliefs and opinions. And these all become obstacles to that expression of love. They're obstacles because, wait, I'm a Democrat and I'm not supposed to love Republicans, or I'm a Republican, I'm not supposed to even like Democrats, or you are this or you are that, you're that religion, you have this faith, this belief. So we live in a world of division. I read that this morning. Trust in Mind, a poem in Chinese Zen, and it's called The Great Way. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really long. Just the beginning. Give me 1 second if I can find it. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is a disease of the mind. Now here, when they say, giving up love, they're talking about the small version of love. They're talking more about cherishing, more about our conditional type, and not the true unconditional love. Matthew said, nature of our true identity, and Yoel says, and the form it contained, and the form to contain it. I'm sorry, Destiny. I'm catching up to you now. I apologize for being late. According to research studies, Hindu is the oldest religion. Christianity came along centuries later. That gave me a lot to think of, and I was light in learning that study. That's awesome. And before Hinduism, there was yoga. Hinduism got its basis within yoga itself. Yoga in its originality is a shamanic practice. Shaman is being, of course, loose. We can't call it religion so much as a spiritual practice. And shamanism is a deeply, deeply wonderful practice that whenever I do any of my writing in nature, whenever I see anything presenting itself to me in nature that I'm going to write about, I always ask the spirit of the animal, what is it that you wish for me to impart in my writing? What is it? What is your voice coming through me that you would wish for me to say? William says, I think I agree. You would love a wife differently than your own child, but a similar kind of love, is that not a distinction? It is a distinction, but it's also not love. We're talking about affection. Love itself is the presence that allows for those affections to be expressed differently. It's a hard place to get to sometimes, because we all want to hold on to our distinctions. We all want to hold on to our most cherished beliefs. And it's difficult to turn within and see the world in an entirely different way. Eric Point says, UL, thanks for the tip, but this time I smoked the belt and shredded the fan blades. I'm not a mechanic, Eric LaPointe, but that doesn't sound good. He also says the awakened teachers all show the same way, but the path can be different. Absolutely, my friend. Beautifully said. So I'm going to skip all the way down to the bottom and work my way up. William says, I think I understand the distinctions now. Thank you. The key is always to look just a little bit deeper. Matthew says, Eric, thank you for sharing that bit about animal spirits, the animals, for what they wish for you to impart. Sometimes, I haven't done it for a few months, I listen to a shamanic tape of drumming to put me in a altered state. And I can literally be in front of the animal spirit and ask them, what is it that you wish? Other than that, I'll just sit at my desk and I'll open to the experience itself. Anytime I film something for my nature shorts, I try to allow that voice to come to me, and I offer a deep thank you. Yoel says, yes, that is a story. Let's see. Matthew says the Pandavas were exiled, and after 13 years, they were promised their kingdom back, and the cousins did not keep the promise. I believe that is what led to the war. Yes, and then we get to the Bhagavad Gita. Brian says, that's why I like hearing about Hindu, because it's ancient, and what is ancient is what was before any religion, I wonder. Before all of it, there was just the essence of beingness itself. And there was no need for anything other than that. And then we started making up stories. By stories, I don't mean that in a bad way. Stories help us navigate the world. It's when we come to believe our stories. We get laughing emojis from Eric LaPointe. Yoel says, yes, a Hindu story, I always see it as brothers. The world are part of one body. Absolutely. I love that. I love the cosmology of Hinduism, yoga, as well as tribal cosmology, the cosmology of A Course in Miracles. Matthew says, I believe the Pandavas were a royal bloodline directly related to Krishna. I'm not sure if they were related to Krishna or if Krishna was a worship deity. I know Krishna being the charioteer for Arjuna. Destiny says, Eric McCarty, is Mocha feeling better today? Much love to her. Thank you, Destiny. She is feeling better. She was able to come over and we took a walk again today. Her and I and Misty. My favorite time of the day. Thank you for asking, Destiny. He also says, to be lucid in the dream is what I came back with once. To be lucid in the dream, to awaken within the dream, to dream a happier dream. As I remember talking with William a little while back, but remember, the dream character never awakens in the dream. We wake up, ultimate reality, and we find that it was all a dream, even the dream character. Brian says, what did they believe before religion? Absolutely nothing, because there was no need to believe anything. We were all part of the primordial oneness. Just when Sue says, tag you in a video, just posted, spent some time, well, all kinds of messages. Tagged you in a video. I just posted, spent some time relaxing by the Susquehanna River this morning. Awesome. Thank you for tagging me. Thank you for spending time by the river, and I can't wait to dive in. Destiny says, Brian, I'm glad to hear you say that. Ike was a guide to your younger self, a guide to you out into nature to find your true self. Thank you for answering the question. Our friend Burpee Reaper is here. Reaper, my friend, how are you? Reaper says, I'm at work, but saw you were live, Eric. Just showing support. Much appreciated, Reaper. Very much appreciated. I think I missed Brian's reply. One time, as a kid, I was on a roof playing around and almost fell off and thought Ike or something saved me from falling off. No doubt he did. It's a shame that there comes a time when we stop believing in our invisible friends. Doesn't mean that they're no longer in existence. It means that we can no longer tap in that the world of the invisible, because our beliefs have blocked that awareness. So I'm going to do my best not to fall that far behind again. Of course, we all know it's going to happen. Let's see. Yo says, yeah, I let myself and get the vision come before I roll until my eyes, all the spirit, they don't see, the mind does. I especially like the last part. The mind does. Absolutely. Destiny says, hello and blessings to Louise. Happy Friday, and how are you? Reaper says, doing great. Just working away here, and how are you? Hey, do we got Show Tune Sunday coming up, Reaper? Matthew says, I love you, Eric, my friend. I always get so much from these discussions. I have to take care of my responsibilities, so I must go. Thank you for the inspiration and the light you always share. And thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much. Love to you. It's these conversations and the questions and the answers and the things that we share that matter most. Destiny says, Lewis, I'm trying to help you get that 1K plus. My pleasure to share your videos. How close are we now? Each time I check in on Burpee Reaper, he's getting closer and closer. It's at 979. This weekend for sure. No doubt, this weekend for sure. And our friend Sue is saying hi to everyone. Guys, make sure, hopefully you're subscribed to our friend Just One Sue for some great nature videos along the Susquehanna River, in her backyard, in her front yard, all kinds of good stuff. Jesse says, see you later, Matthew. Yoel says, on your shaman path, do you find a communication with unseen and nature? Yes, there's a feeling, there's an essence, there's an invisibility to um, what's going on. It's sort of hard to explain, where you know that everything is alive and dancing in front of you. That there's the unheard music of the spheres that everything is participating within. Am I always aware of it? No, sometimes. Most especially when I take those early walks, and certain times of the year when it is the sun's coming up a little bit later. So I'm out well before the sun comes up. Sue says, as I was sitting relaxing by the river, I began thinking about how people traveled it when this country was young. Hey, have you ever read James Michener's Chesapeake? And he talks about the Susquehannock, um, and one in particular who was chased out of his tribe and settled in the Chesapeake, traveled the Susquehanna all the way down into the Chesapeake Bay. Reaper says, yes, Sunday show tunes. Pick your songs now, guys, because the Burpee Reaper is going to be doing burpees to whatever song you put out there without discriminating, without saying that one, not going to do it. You put it out there and he'll do it. I can't even begin to tell you the type of man that can do intense burpees to Barry Manilow's Mandy without breaking stride. Just as intense as anything else. Just as intense when he's playing heavy metal or anything else someone puts out there. Jesse says that I am great. To the Reaper, just enjoying some be me time. Nice. He also says, like the river can speak to you. And I think the river is, but we have blocks to our awareness of the voice. And I think earlier, like Brian was saying, what was before religion? What was before religion was the voice of nature. And then religion came along, beliefs came along, opinions came along, and it blocked that voice. The voice is still present. We're just unable to hear. Brian says, wish you the best with channel, Reaper, and 1,000 subs. And Reaper says, all right, guys, I might see you later on a live. If not, have a great day and see you all later. Take care, Reaper. Really appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Y'all says, not in words, but feeling and knowing. Yes. And it seems the feeling and the knowingness itself are the same. Brian says, appreciate you, brother Brian. We get a salute from Brian. Desi says, see you later, Louis. Enjoy the moments and continue to live life full. Always wise words, caring words, and loving words from our friend Destiny. Brian says, just listening to the current of the riverbanks flowing is the river speaking. Absolutely. And then you hear the vibrations of that current. This is how the ancient seers and rishis got the primordial sounds that are used in meditation. At least according to the meditation method that I teach, primordial sound meditation, there are 108 primordial mantras that all correspond with the vibrations of the universe at specific times. We were all came from the unmanifest to the manifest, riding that wave of vibrations. So if we use that particular mantra, we take ourselves back into the unmanifest. We go from the finite to the infinite again. Brian says, have a blessed day, Louis. Just when Sue says, Brian, exactly. There's something, I just saw this earlier today. There's just something about water, specifically moving water. And studies have shown that the brain slows down. We enter lightly into that alpha wave brain state just by hearing the motion of water. Brian says, and tune into your intuition on what the message the river is sending you. Nice, Brian. Absolutely. Just give me a second, guys. Sue says, I could have sat there all day just watching and listening to the environment about me. That's nature filming YouTube clips at its best when we experience that essence and we get to share it with others. This is why I love visiting Just One Sue. This is why I love Brian Lane's nature videos, Eric LaPointe's videos. For me, again, all of that, true art. When you can present a little slice of nature that only you can see. I talked about this with Eric LaPointe quite a few times. His unique perspective on a Christmas tree farm in Connecticut. No one else in the entire universe is going to have that perspective in that spot at that time. And he gets to capture it for a moment and then share it with others. Destiny says, Brian, we have to go deep within, and we can hear the inner voice crying out and sending messages into nature. Everything we need to know is already within us. Beautiful message, Destiny. And again, going back to the beginning of the conversation, we were talking about the message of Jesus. And when he said the kingdom of heaven is within, you go within, deeper within, and deeper within. And we find, it's funny because right under there, just when Sue said connected to Brian, and the word I was going to use, connected. Even more than connected. It's even more seamless than connected. Just one thing. But here, we got to use words like connected. We have to use words like joined, yoga, meaning union. But in reality, it's just, Destiny did a wonderful video a little while back where she talked about the universe, universe, one verse, one song. So just when Sue is connected to Brian, Brian's got a beautiful channel. As is our friend Sue, as is our friend Destiny. And Eric LaPointe as well. Man, that was beautifully said, Brian. Yes, Miss Destiny. We already are the river and the universe. We can only listen to ourselves. Destiny says, Brian, we are the universe and the universe is us. Universe. Yo says, yes, indeed, you are the great to oneness. Nicely said, my friend. So, y'all, I just subscribed to you. I see you don't have any content, but I'd like subscribing to people is just a way of staying connected. So I think we'll talk just for a few more minutes, and then I'm going to call it an afternoon. Hey, if you guys want to, give me 1 second. Sorry.
Pay with Venmo.
I want to drop a link. Hopefully it'll work. Here we go. I've been listening to this morning, not all the way through. This is from C.S. Lewis. Every morning, seek God's guidance. What to listen for before you start your day. Absolutely love C.S. Lewis and the message that he presents. M.F. Dreadson says, passing through to drop off my support. Thumbs up. Thank you, Dreadson. Very much appreciated. Let's see. Brian says that it's up to Sue and to you all. Nice. Let's see. Lordical, am I saying that right? Have you ever performed any actual rituals? I have. I've done some rituals in Hawaiian shamanism, a form of prayer that I absolutely love. Of course, man, you could really say my whole life is a bit of a ritual. From waking up in the morning and saying thank you, 3 times. Something I read from Eckhart Tolle, the 12th century Christian mystic, who said if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that would be enough. So the first thing I do as soon as my eyes open is perform that ritual, simply saying thank you. Because look what I have to be thankful for. I open my eyes and an entire universe is manifested just for me. I have air in abundance in which to draw breath. I have lungs that function perfectly to use that air. I have a beating heart. I have a brain that thinks. I have blood that flows. And I didn't have to do a single thing for any of that to happen. I didn't have to ask for the sun to start coming out. None of it. Gifted. Grace. And then I do my breath work. I meditate. For me, yoga is a ritual. Most specifically, the sun salutation. As for actual rituals and like magical stuff, a little bit of the seagull magic, S-I-G-I-L, maybe it's E-L, I'm not sure, I don't remember, along those lines. Destiny says, hashtag one love and hashtag divinely connected. Amen to that. Brian says, yes, both of them. Yoel says, ritual is the actions of the greater yoga. Nice. Yoel says, it's why I clicked the Burpee Yogi. Much appreciated. Let's see. Lord L. And again, I apologize for mispronouncing. Ignore me. Not at all, my friend. Now, sometimes I'm slow on the reading, so it takes me a little bit behind, but I never ignore anyone. Our friend MF Dreadson knows me well, and he says he may be just behind in the chat. Absolutely. Did I miss something besides the ritual? Let's see. Lord Kill says YouTube is a younger person's game. You're past your due date, Pops. I am most certainly past my due date. I might have been past my due date, oh man, half a century ago. Is it a young man's game though? Probably not, as I got a few people here my age or close to it. let's just call it a game and everyone gets to play. Some of us play it a little bit slower. Some of us play it a little bit quicker. Some of us play it with some more hair on their head, and some of us don't. All good stuff, though. The good thing is that it gets to be a wonderful practice of patience for the speedier people who might come here and want to hang out. Let's see. Eric Point says, interesting to Lordical, you have 14 subs and he has 5K. 5K really, really, really patient people who put up with my slowness. The funny thing is, the people here not only put up with my slowness, they actually encourage my slowness as a form of really gentle humor, which I encourage, by the way. Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I would have been just as slow at 25 as I am now. Dredson says, I've started a ritual each morning, taking sips of water before getting out of bed and thinking words with each sip, setting intentions for the day. Wow, that's a beautiful practice. How do you think of that, Dredson? Another ritual, preparing specifically in the morning, preparing my food with love and gratitude, thanking every aspect of the food. I mentioned this before. It's the yogic practice, prasad, which is food prepared in that ritual of love and gratitude. Destiny says, Eric McCarty, thanks for sharing your live stream. I enjoyed the fellowship and the active participation in the chat. I am leaving now, and we'll see you in the chat later. Blessings and love, everyone. Thank you, Destiny. Blessings and love to you, my friend. Really always appreciate when Destiny is here, when the fellowship of beingness is reunited, and we get to share stuff like this. I'm only going to stay on for just a few more minutes. I'm one out of our friend Lordical. That would have been the thing that I would have noticed. Not how slow I am, but how many things I mispronounce in a single conversation. Sometimes, man, I feel like I provide you guys with the easiest targets, and you let them slip by, and you focus on the more abstract ones. I don't know if I can make it any easier for you guys. Let's see. Benny Sinis is goodbye in what language, Brian? Eric Point says bye, Destiny. Dredson says, I thought about libations when we pour water into the earth or plant. So drinking water is similar. Sipping instead of pouring out. Wow. Pouring within. Man, that's wonderful. Hey, that would be, if you ever think about doing some outside of burpees videos, just talking about that and demonstrating, that would be a beautiful video. Destiny says, have a blessed day and joyful weekend, Brian Lang. Much love, friend. Dredson says, peace. Hope you have a solid day. Yo says, laughing out loud, have to leave yourself open to let others in. Definitely. Definitely agree. My practice is defenselessness. If I find myself being defensive about anything, then it's a sure sign that my ego is saying, don't let anyone in, or that this person is separate from me, or that I am entertaining the thought of, in A Course in Miracles, what would be called an unholy relationship. Unholy doesn't mean bad or evil. It means that I am thinking of something or someone else as separate from me. Plus, you know what? It's just more fun to not take yourself seriously. If I can't participate in the joke, I am the joke. Brian says, have a blessed day, everyone. Oh, blessings in Spanish. I wrote there. Brian's going to go now. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate your time. I think for me, we're going to wrap things up as well. I'm going to be back. Hey, Eric the Point, I hope you're making progress with your mower. Do you say mower or tractor? I don't remember now. And guys will be back in about 2.5 hours or so. Yo, Adam says, one everyone. Thank you for that, my friend. Eric's point is about halfway on the mower. Well, I wish you luck. I wish you peace of mind, because you know what? That does get frustrating. Eric says, another great live. Thank you, Eric. You are the guys that make it a great live, that's for sure. Appreciate it, guys. I'm going to see everyone later. I'll be back in like 2.5-ish hours or so. Just to wrap things up for the evening. Nothing to do. If you're bored, come on by. Eric points to a past peace of mind and on to the hammer. Yeah, I've been there. I have definitely been there. Hey, sometimes it's a hammer that we need to bring us back to peace of mind. Remember, the Zen master uses a stick to whack people on the head to get them back into awareness. Just don't whack yourself on the head with the hammer. That's a good closing message. That's about the wisest thing I've ever said. It's definitely the wisest thing I've ever said on a live stream. Don't whack your head with a hammer. Again, you're only going to get that here on Just a Yogi doing burpees in his basement. That's the kind of wisdom. That's the kind of wisdom that's going to be imparted. Guys, thanks.